Okay. So now I will go to the passage where we are. Who can tell me which page? 53?
The German version.
German version.
Like text you sent me.
Okay.
520.
520, right? I think just one page. 520. And we were at the end of Socrates' first speech, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Do wolves love lambs? That's how lovers befriend a boy.
It's Socrates, so 200.
241d.
241d. Okay, now I find it. So, does anybody want to read it aloud? So, I mean, you have the German translation, right? You don't have the English?
No.
Okay, so you need to hear how it read. Who want to read the text?
We need 2 rules, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
That's it. Phaedrus, you won't hear another word from me, and you'll have to accept this as the end of the speech.
But I thought you were right in the middle. I thought you were about to speak at the same length about the non-lover, to list his good points and argue that it's better to give one's favors to him. So why are you stopping now, Socrates?
Didn't you notice, my friend, that even though I am criticizing the lover, I have passed beyond lyric into epic poetry? What do you suppose will happen to me if I begin to pray his opposite? Don't you realize that Nymphs to whom you so cleverly expose me will take complete possession of me? So I say instead, in a word, that every shortcoming for which we blame the lover has its contrary advantage, and the non-lover possesses it. Why make a long speech of it? That's enough about them both. This way, my story will meet the end it deserves. And I will cross the river and live before you make me do something even worse.
I think I want to stop here for a while. So the leading question of our last on this discussion is what's the problem with Socrates' first speech? And here we have 2, right? The first is at least 2. First is it's not completed. So the structure is middle way in between. So it stops at somewhere it should not stop, right? And that's in Phaedrus' speech it gives us. And any other problems?
I have to review it again quickly to remember. Well, I remember we said there was one paragraph that wasn't very coherent, where there were a lot of different topics brought in that didn't really speak to the larger point and were not very well aligned with each other. And I think we also said that Socrates' speech kind of just reiterates Lysias's arguments in a more illustrative way. Like he uses imagery and emotion in a more compelling way than Lysias, but the underlying argument is essentially the same.
Yes. And about here, I think Socrates just want to leave, right? It's because basically it's not his opinion, right? It's he's like arguing for something which he does not believe. And also, I also talked with Ami, in fact, about this subject. It's so striking for me, at least. If one has choice, one should prefer non-lovers than lovers. It's just ridiculous for me. Nonsense.
Very unintuitive.
And cynical.
Yes.
But somehow today, I think this, at least it will exist, this opinion in the world, right? Even very popular. That's why, like, Socrates want to stop, and also it's this opinion. It's not like you said the aim in the air. No, it's really important, like important phenomenon to argument against. And any other comments for these two pieces, just what we have read?
I just find his reason for not representing the other side of the argument very funny. That he says, oh, it's just every shortcoming for which we blame the lover has its contrary advantages, and that's all I have to say about it. And it's very playful. Again, like this is one thing I really like about his writing, is that it's so playful. And of course he's going to give a counter argument, but he's just pretending that there's no point in going into it in a robust way.
Any other thought? And not we go on, right?
Not yet, Socrates. Not until this heat is over. Don't you see that it is almost exactly noon? Straight up, as they say. Let's wait and discuss the speeches, and go as soon as it turns cooler.
You are really human when it comes to speech, Phaedrus. You are truly amazing. I'm sure you've brought into being more of the speeches that have been given during your lifetime than anyone else. Whether you compose them yourself, or in one way or another, force others to make them, with a single exception of Simmias, the Theban, you are far ahead of the rest. Even as we speak, I think you are managing to cause me to produce yet another one.
Oh, how wonderful. But what do you mean? What speech?
My friend, just I was about to cross the river, the familiar divine sign came to me, which whenever it occurs, call me back from something I'm about to do. I thought I heard a voice coming from this very spot, forbidding me to leave until I made atonement for some offense against the gods. In effect, you see, I'm a seer, and though I'm not particularly good at it, still, like people who are just barely able to read and write, I am good enough for my own purpose. I recognize my offense clearly now. In fact, the sword too, my friend, is itself a sort of a seer. That's why, almost from the beginning of my speech, I was disturbed by a very uneasy feeling. As Evicus puts it, that for offending the gods, I'm honored by men. But now I understand exactly what my offense has been.
Wait for a minute. I have two questions. The first is understanding. So what a seer means here? The word I am a seer. So I'm a prophet also?
Yeah, prophet.
Okay. Okay. And the second is what kind of people Phaedrus is? Why, how to understand his passion about speeches? And he's kind of like, for me, so passionate about speeches, but not about good speeches. So he does not understand, really has a judgment, right? But he's young, so it's also reasonable. I don't know. And the second, if no answers to that, because I also don't understand.
I was thinking, well, I don't quite understand his passion for speeches, but at least one thing I thought that was happening right between, I mean, it's again, right, there's this, throughout the speech, there's an erotic play between Phaedrus and Socrates, and that's obviously present here again, right? Like Coda, right, he says it's straight up, as they say, and then Socrates the way he says you're really superhuman when it comes to speeches, Phaedrus. You're truly amazing. I mean, there's something erotic about that, right? There's some kind of erotic teasing about him being superhuman. Right? He's like, you're forcing me to just keep producing these kinds of speeches. That's at least how it struck me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure exactly how to understand Phaedrus's passion for
maybe
language.
I think you mentioned very well. I think the irony there could be maybe Socrates just in his heart. Why are you so like passionate about speeches? Like that bad speech of Lysias makes you already crazy. And I gave you also once the only not so good, but you are so happy about that.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Superhuman. Yeah. So that's then the second question is, if you remember well, like Socrates was not satisfied with those kind of like mythos as an explanation of the phenomena around us, right? About the girl was taken over by the north wind. So then he said, okay, so this God take us. I don't buy this stuff, but here, then at least my first thought is, okay, so Socrates is not into this God or mythical stuff, but rather a really the other side atheist his position. But here he says there's a God inside him forbid him to do something, right? So I found that here is, at least for me, not coherent.
I don't find it contradictory because I think that when he's explaining the phenomenon of the abduction of this girl by Boreas, he's saying there could be this more worldly explanation for it, but in fact, anyone who gives such an explanation is, quite mechanical. Like I think he himself believes that, or would like to believe that there is some sort of mystical or celestial phenomenon behind it. He said he's like, this is a possible way of explaining the situation, but it's not the one that I prefer. That was my interpretation of what he said.
He does not prefer both, or he doesn't prefer the natural explanation?
He doesn't prefer the natural. He prefers the celestial explanation.
Okay.
So I think that in fact is quite aligned with what he says here.
Okay.
That's how I saw it.
That makes sense. Yeah. Any comments? Further comments? And then let's go on, right?
And so, my friend, I must purify myself. Now, for those whose offense lies in telling false stories about matters divine, there's an ancient rite of purification. Homer did not know it.
I think we skipped some.
Yes, we go back to.
I think it's Phaedrus's line, tell me what is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me, what is it?
Phaedrus, the speech you carried with you here, it was horrible. As horrible as a speech you made me give.
How could that be?
It was foolish and close to being impious. What could be more horrible than that?
Nothing. If, of course, what you say is right.
Well then, don't you believe that love is the son of Aphrodite? Isn't he one of the gods?
This is certainly what people say.
Well, Lysias certainly doesn't, and neither does your speech, which you charm me through your potion into delivering myself. If love is a god or something divine, which he is, it can't be bad in any way, and yet our speech just now spoke of him as he wore that is their offense against love, and they have compounded with their other foolishness in parodying their dangerous falsehoods and preening themselves over perhaps deceiving a few silly people and coming to be admired by them. And so, my friend, I must purify myself, not for those whose offense lies in telling false stories about matters divine. There's an ancient rite of purification. Homer did not know it, but Phaedrus did. When he lost his sight for speaking ill of Helen, he did not, like Homer, remain in the dark about the reason why. On the contrary, true follower of the Muses that he was, he understood it and immediately composed these lines. There's no truth to that story. You never saved that lovely ship. You never reached the Tower of Troy. And as soon as he completed the poem we call the Palinode, he immediately regained his sight. Now I will prove to be wiser than Homer and Statistics to this small extent. I will try to offer my Palinode to love before I'm punished for speaking ill of him, with my head bare, no longer covered in shame.
Yeah. Any comments, questions? No. So here, I think Socrates will just be really frank, right? He's don't pretend anymore. So that's just very bad. And then just want to reverse it, kind of like. Go ahead. Maybe I can read Phaedrus and we'll take Socrates. Maybe we can change it a little bit. Nobody. Maybe you think it's your turn.
Okay.
No words could be sweeter to my ear, Socrates.
You see, my dear Phaedrus, you understand how shameless the speeches were, my own as well as the one in your book. Suppose a noble and gentle man, who was or had once been in love with a boy of similar character, were to hear us say that lovers start serious quarrels for trivial reasons, and that, jealous of their beloved, they do him harm. Don't you think that man would think that we had been brought up among the most vulgar of sailors, totally ignorant of love among the freeborn? Wouldn't he most certainly refuse to acknowledge the flaws we attributed to love?
Most probably, Socrates.
Well, that man makes me feel ashamed. And as I'm also afraid of love himself, I want to wash out the bitterness of what we've heard with a more tasteful speech. And my advice to Lysias, too, is to write as soon as possible a speech urging one to give similar favors to a lover rather than to a non-lover.
I just want to stop here saying, like Socrates is saying, this love which only put emphasis and in sexual satisfaction is kind of like from the lower class, not the business of the gentleman. It's from the vulgar sailors or the pirates. And we're drinking beer, maybe. But no.
Well, it seems like together with the previous passage, he's saying that this interpretation or this position on love takes the sacred out of it and takes nobility out of it. The one represented in Lysias' speech and Socrates' first speech.
And all his word blessedness, right? So noble. Any further comments? Oh. You can be sure he will, for once you have spoken in praise of the lover, I will most definitely make Lysis write a speech on the same topic.
I do believe you will, so long as you are who you are.
Speak on then, in full confidence.
Where then is the boy to whom I was speaking? Let him hear this speech too. Otherwise, he may be too quick to give his favors to the non-lover.
He's here, always right by your side, whenever you want him.
You'll have to understand, beautiful boy, that the previous speech was by Phaedrus, Pythocles' son, from Myrinius, while the one I am about to deliver is by Stesichorus, Euphemus' son, from Himera. And here is how the speech should go.
And here, I think we also change, right? One read one passage and another one. And there's no truth to that story, that when a lover is available, you should give your favors to a man who doesn't love you instead, because he's in control of himself, while the lover has lost his head. That would have been fine to say if madness were bad, pure and simple. But in fact, the best things we have come from madness, when it is given as a gift of the god.
The prophetess of Delphi and the priestesses at Dodona are out of their minds when they perform that fine work of theirs for all of Greece, either for an individual person or for a whole city. But they accomplish little or nothing when they are in control of themselves. We will not mention the Sibyl or the others who foretell many things by means of God-inspired prophetic trances, and give sound guidance to many people. That would take too much time for a point that's obvious to everyone. But here's some evidence worth adding to our case. The people who designed our language in the old days never thought of madness as something to be ashamed of or worthy of blame. Otherwise, they would not have used the word manic. For the finest experts of all, the ones who tell the future, thereby weaving insanity into prophecy. They thought it was wonderful when it came as a gift of the god, and that's why they gave its name to prophecy. But nowadays, people don't know the fine points. So they stick in a T and call it mantic. Similarly, the clear-headed study of the future, which uses birds and other signs, was originally called oinoistic, since it uses reasoning to bring intelligence, nous, and bringing and learning historia into human thought. But now modern speakers call it oinoistic, putting on airs with their long O, to the extent then that prophecy, mantic, is more perfect and more admirable than sign-based prediction, oinoistic, in both name and achievement. Madness, mania, from a god is finer than self-control of human origin, according to the testimony of the ancient language givers.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say something shortly. The first is, in short, Lysias' argument goes like this. So a lover is insane. This is crazy, and the non-lover is clear. So that's the first premise, right? The second is, so the craziness or the madness is bad, and the like sanity, right, is good. So therefore you should choose, you prefer the non-lover to the lover. So Socrates here goes to the second premise, like he challenges madness is bad, and what he's doing is he's gives 3 examples, in fact, of say good madness, and he thinks that's very obvious, and we will see whether we agree with him or not. So the first example is this. So the oracle at Delphi, right? And because now like in Germany, we don't have such stuff. So maybe because madness is really bad, right?
I think we just haven't properly harnessed it. We need a sacred rock somewhere in Berlin, or a sacred cave.
That would be better.
So at least I saw Socrates' like maneuver here does not convince me, right?
Well, I mean, we've said this about a lot of his arguments before, is that it's a product of its time and era. Yeah, this argument is very strongly situated in the traditions of that era. But does it have any applications for the modern day?
I think if what you say is true, like if we like if our own hope for romantic love is only a blessed madness, right? And then because now say you're in Germany, there are not so many people believing in God, right? So Socrates' anti-argument fails in general, or we can say because of the missing of the spiritualness or the religion. So people are more into bodily pleasure, and that's also true. They also have their point. They also were granted or were reasonable, right? If that's the case, you know what I mean. If we only give credit to Socrates, the era he was in, then now okay, then we should give those people like nowadays also the credit, because then it's a different era. So no God anymore. So no godly madness. So romantic love is bad. So what you only need to do is have more sex as more possible, like right.
Well, I think this is the fact that you brought up Berghain makes it a really interesting example, in fact, because I think people go to clubs to reach these ecstatic states, these transcendent states, and they do it through drug use and dancing, music, and sex, but so did the Greeks.
Magic,
basically. And I think like maybe the Greeks saw engaging in this phenomenon as a means of connecting with the gods, and while people in the modern day don't explicitly make that connection, they are longing for a means of connecting with something beyond themselves, or a sense of transcendence and, like overcoming the boundaries, the perception of boundaries between themselves and the rest of the world.
So you mean basically exactly those people now are looking for bodily pleasure are this mystical direction.
Some of them, I think they're using it as a mechanism to access this feeling of transcendence.
Any comments until now? I mean, approved. So about I think this etymological stuff, we don't go into that because it's too difficult, and I also don't really understand them. Next, madness can provide relief from the greatest plagues of trouble that beset certain families because of their guilt for ancient crimes. It turns up among those who need a way out. It gives prophecies and takes refuge in prayers to the gods and in worship, discovering mystic rites and purification that bring the man it touches through to safety for this and all time to come. So it is that the right sort of madness finds relief from present hardships for a man it has possessed.
Third comes the kind of madness that is possession by the muses, which takes a tender virgin soul and awakens it to a Bacchic frenzy of songs and poetry that glorifies the achievements of the past and teaches them to future generations. If anyone comes to the gates of poetry and expects to become an adequate poet by acquiring expert knowledge of the subject without the muse's madness, he will fail, and his self-controlled verses will be eclipsed by the poetry of men who have been driven out of their minds.
Any comments to these three passages? So this second and third example of good madness? No. So I would just say when I was small, there was still in my village the second type, and then the government says it's substitution. How's that? Aberglaube.
Superstition.
Superstition, yeah. So now it's very rare, but when I was small, like it was still popular. When somebody is sick, so we 跳大神, So it's the 跳大神.
I don't know.
You don't know that
No.
at all? Oh, you are a very reasonable person.
What is this?
I think just like shamanic, how's the shaman?
Yeah.
Tradition. So like then you will go to somebody like this mysterious people and pay for them, in fact, a lot of money. And they will come to your home and then set up this and set up that. Want to see something singing and dancing somehow.
For what?
And
For healing.
for healing. So
when someone is sick.
yes,
Okay.
or some like if you have a business and then you have put into a lot of money and 3 years it didn't get any
Okay.
profit, and you can also do this. So
Mhm.
then there will be a lot of the rites, the mysterious rites. And I myself personally also experienced that, and because I just had some education in the school, so I think it's just my what's the adults are doing is crazy, right? So I was kind of like thin there, and then so this second type, I think I personally also witnessed it. Yeah.
Okay. I also have observed that quite a lot because my grandma, she's a nun. So when I was young, I had witnessed such kind of things greatly.
Yeah. Now it's Buddhistic direction, right?
Come again?
Buddhistic.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. Buddhistic has also a strong, like here is a mystic direction. So it basically has a very strong mystic part into them, in them. Yeah.
And what was your perception of these traditions when you saw them?
I in the childhood times, I don't know. I think I kind of mixed feeling when I was very young. I believe in them. I think I get blessed because also my name, like my childhood times name is I get my birth as a mercy of a Buddhist. So the translation of my name is like that. At the mercy of the Buddhism. Yeah, but then when I grow old, because the education of this kind of atheism education and kind of society also, that's how it's been viewed. Also, many people believe in Buddhism as well, but like in general, I don't believe in Buddhism. Yeah.
It's interesting because this example is so specific. Like, he's he's offering it as a way out of a hereditary curse.
A hereditary curse. So we have a visitor. Jana is leaving. And
by the way, this third part in our nowadays world, there's really Does it sound like Balkan theme? This that part, this Bachi.
Bachik, yeah.
Yeah.
What did you mean?
I mean, like people go there to buy alcohol, whatever, go to kind of a Methodist state.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's exactly the case, I think. So we talked about a little bit last time also this Bachic tradition, which is very long in European culture and comes also from Greece. And like basically from the Orpheum firstly, and then Bachic, and then influenced most the Pythagorean, and then from Plato comes into philosophy the most strongly. Yeah. Exactly. So that's basically the line, and what's is also here the case. Yeah. And I think the third is very important, because that's we just talked about that in music. So there always some part you cannot just reason about it, right? So we have the feeling the top artist, be it musician or like, I don't know, really painter or something like that, they kind of like blessed, or there's still some parts like not basic, not only reason, say.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I just think when it comes to music, it's more like, in my opinion, like everyone can be affected by music in a way that can make him move awkwardly or something like that because he feels entranced by music. Maybe your demeanor changes when you're active as a musician. You learn more about music, or when you are trained in music. Of course, I would say it changes, but like the basic ability to be affected, or in an awkward way by music, I think every human who is not suffering from amusie, like it's a sickness or it's like a neuro diversity condition, something like that. Everyone else like can be affected in a weird way by music. It's just the quality of how you interact changes once you indulge yourself in music in a professional or more professional manner, I would say.
I think in short, to our point, you mean even that case, it's basically a matter of education, rather not a matter of gladness.
Or level of madness.
Yeah, for Socrates, it's like you're mad because the gods, right? The gods give you like speak to you or something like that. Can be nowadays people who study psychology say it's something else, but I would say that counts, but like what makes a good poet or a good musician, I would argue against that. It's not because he got touched by the gods or by the spirit, it's just because he used the system of trial and error very successfully.
I think you turned to the natural explanation even of this stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah.
I think that they can both be true simultaneously, because I think that you, as an untrained person, you can produce good art, but it's much less likely. And so I think that art is an attempt to translate, communicate emotion in a way that it goes around rationalism or speech. And that, if you experience that emotion strongly enough and find a way to communicate it to others that's effective, that's one of the elements of good art. But yeah, training enables you to be more conscious of the tools that you're using, first of all, so you can create a more deliberate effect. And second of all, you have greater discernment in what you are communicating, and you have a better idea of like what's effective and what's not. But even then, with the training, I think a lot of great artists also describe this phenomenon of feeling kind of possessed, or feeling like they've had this experience that is beyond their training, or like a source of inspiration that feels divine, that is linked to their experience of creating the work that is most memorable. So yeah, I think in an ideal scenario, you have access to both. You have the discipline of training as well as this sense of connecting with something beyond yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's like an event which comes to mind in my memory, because I was partaking in a symposium on musicology, and there were neuroscientists they had two test groups, like trained musicians and people who listen to music but don't indulge themselves in music as professionals. And they wanted both people in the first try, they wanted the people to analyze the music they were listening to. And then the second time, they didn't want people to analyze the music and just rate the music just by a pure listening experience. And the interesting thing was, when it comes to the analyzing situation, of course, the trained musicians were much more detailed. They were much more like precise than the other people. But when it came to like just lose the glasses of analytics and just listen to the song, the words by which the music was described were not much different than from the people who were not trained musicians. So this kind of feeling trance or feeling possessed or something like can, like, once you abandon this analytical stuff or professional stuff, it can be like the same. Like
that's as experiencing the music though, not creating it, right?
But I think for experienced music, it also depends on the type of music. For example, for classical ones, for me, most of them, I couldn't really enjoy them.
Sure.
But I've heard from Kai, it's super, enjoyable, that one can get a lot of pleasure from that.
Sure.
Yeah, we are diverging a little bit. So basically it's like I think the last point of was not different from Biana's. You just say this if there's a madness in music, and they are not always linked to the musical training you have.
Yeah, and I also, just one point I wanted to add, and we also have to keep in mind, if Socrates speaks of what makes a good poet or what makes a good musician, right? So he says a good poet will be a poet who is touched by the gods, and he will be always more successful than a poet who just produces poetry derived from the ratio, like the human mind. We also have to keep in mind what is the ideal, the aesthetic ideal of that era. Like, what is good art? For Socrates or for the antiques, good art is like imitation, right? So in that time, in ancient Greek, good art is always like, how can it imitate, like the divine or what we see around, right? But it's a totally different definition of art, or what is good art in nowadays, not in modern times. So I think if you want to just focus on the third part, you also have to keep in mind this, like what does he think about when he says it's good art or it's good poetry? It could be very different from today. Like if you ask a person today what is good poetry, he could There is something way different. Right?
It's not Homer, you just want to say.
Well, yeah, I know it's kind of a sidetrack, so I just say quickly that I think even irrespective of the form, this phenomenon is described across cultures and throughout human history when creating art.
Okay.
So we go to, I think here, from here, this is really become the 10th philosophical text, and then we go next and we have more points to discuss. Or Ross, do you have anything, comments from, no? Okay. No, so then we go ahead. I think it's my turn, right?
Yeah.
There you have some of the fine achievements, and I could tell you even more, that are due to God's sent madness. We must not have any fear on this particular point then, and we must not let anyone disturb us or frighten us with the claim that you should prefer a friend who is in control of himself to one who is disturbed. Besides proving that that point, if he's to win his case, our opponent must show that love is not sent by the gods as a benefit to a lover and his boy. And we, for our part, must prove that the opposite, that the sort of madness is given us by the gods to ensure our greatest good fortune. It will be a proof that convinces the wise, if not the clever. And here I want to say a short sentence. So, we say in the people present here, we don't buy this, even the first counter example of Socrates, and the third was very controversial, but most of it also not buy it, right? Or in very, very small extent. So then he says then the love is the fourth good madness. And I don't know in how far you will buy that. And it's a present of the God. So the most beautiful part of a life is just because it's a gift of the God, so, and a good madness. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's more for him like, I think he says that because he wants to have the methodical victory. So in terms of disproving this false speech, which Phaedrus brought to Socrates, he just wants to do like the exact opposite. I think what he's trying to achieve is like this. How do you call it in logic? Like the Kai, do you know the term? Like this was a Latin term. We learned it logic. It's like reductio ad absurdum.
That's just called this, I think, even in English.
Yes. So I think that's what he's trying to announce, what he wants to do. I'm not fully convinced that he believes that the greatest luck lies in madness or love madness given by the gods. But I don't know much about Socrates' philosophy, so maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, what do you think? Even Socrates himself or Plato himself does not buy this stuff. He just want to show that Lysis was wrong. Right?
Yeah, that's what I suspected. That's why I think his sentence is more like a methodical sentence in terms of he wants to announce his strategy, not that he's fully convinced.
He does that a lot. He announces his strategy, or he'll propose an argument and then counter it, or like he does this a lot of kind of foreshadowing his argument.
Basically, you say he's not sincere.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy that. Now we must first understand the truth about the nature of the soul, divine or human, by examining what it does and what is done to it. Here begins the proof. Every soul is immortal. That is because whatever is always in motion is immortal, while what moves and is moved by something else stops living when it stops moving. So it is only what moves itself that never desists from motion, since it does not leave off being itself. In fact, the self-mover is also the source and spring of motion in everything else that moves, and a source has no beginning. That is because anything that has a beginning comes from some source, but there is no source for this, since the source that got its start from something else would no longer be the source. And since it cannot have a beginning, then necessarily it cannot be destroyed. That is because if a source were destroyed, it could never get started again from anything else, and nothing else could get started from it. That is, if everything gets started from a source. This, then, is why a self-mover is a source of motion, and that is incapable of being destroyed or starting up. Otherwise, all heaven and everything that has been started up would collapse, come to a stop, and never have cause to start moving again. But since we have found that a self-mover is immortal, we should have no qualms about declaring that this is the very essence and principle of a soul, for every bodily object that is moved from outside has no soul, while a body whose motion comes from within, from itself, does have a soul, that being the nature of a soul. And if this is so, that whatever moves itself is essentially a soul, then it follows necessarily that soul should have neither birth nor death.
To the notorious passage. So now, how can we understand this argument? Any comments?
Don't understand it. That's all I can say.
I think basically he says all the self-moving things are immortal. As the first premises, major premise, and second, the minor premises is a soul is per definition self-moving, and therefore a soul is immortal.
Yeah, the first one is pretty clear. The second one is where I get a little tripped up.
How far can you explain?
Well, I think without having searched very hard to find any counter examples, it seems clear that sentience, let's call it that, is linked to the ability to move, like for the origin of the movement to come from within that being. But I have a bit of trouble seeing the logic in the second argument, maybe just because there's no kind of independently verifiable like thing that I can observe that's linked to it.
And I think the second also very, very difficult, like then to say a soul is per definition self-moving. And in this sentence, then we have a lot of like unspoken premises. The first is the soul exists, right? And the second is there are some a self-moving thing exists, or there are some stuff self-moving, to put it with. And the second is the third, if these two exist are both yes and true, and then comes the third say a soul is self-moving. So I think all of these questions are unbelievable complicated and are questioned thousands of times in every kind of perspectives, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you said, that it's tacit, because you said we have found that a self-mover is immortal. I'm like, have we? When did we find that? I don't remember that.
But here's this argument. So it's a long argument. This one we have something to. He explained well. So something self-moved, so it cannot be this one, I think clear. A is self-moving, right? So which means it has never been moved by anything else, and it will never be moved by anything else, or something like that. At least it has never been moved by anything else, right? If so, it has been moved by anything else, it is not self-moving. You agree? And then if it has not never been moved by anything else, then it cannot be generated. Right? Because being generated is being moved in a way.
Okay.
You know, and so it when it's not generated, and then it has been lasting for very whiles, and kind of like it's already everlasting, right?
Okay.
You know, so that we have an argument goes this way about, but he has the symmetry argument that's difficult. So when something has never been generated, it will also never be destroyed. So that one is also difficult, of course. So that's basically what he's doing here, like to try to argument for some stuff like this. Any comments up to now? No.
I also find it hard to see like where he declared a soul is a self-mover.
Basically, then you question the second, that there's a minor promise, say a self-mover in how far? What do you mean it cannot be, or it can be, or?
I didn't see where exactly he said that, because so we have a few part like a statement. Soul, every soul is immortal because self-mover is immortal, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't see where it says like soul is self-mover.
That's in 245e.
35.
Yes.
Okay.
So, like he says, this is very essence. We have no qualm about declaring that this is the very essence and principle of a soul. For every bodily object that is moved from outside has no soul, while a body whose motion comes from within, from itself, does have a soul, and being the nature of a soul. And if this is so, whatever moves itself is essentially a soul. Then it follows necessarily that soul should have neither birth nor death. I think I should maybe firstly explain what Plato could mean. Just like we looked at this table, right? It does not have a soul, and it does not move itself. So when it moved, so we moved it, right? Because we moved it from there to here. It does not goes by itself. Otherwise, we will be like terrified, right? If we come into the room.
I was thinking that too. If it moved itself, this would challenge our idea that immovable things don't have a soul. We're like, maybe this table has a soul, and therefore there's something wrong because we expect it not to.
Yes, and then we come a little bit to a human being, right? The other side. So you come here, right, today, just by yourself. Say we also use the word. You come from your home and to here, so you move yourself. You moved yourself, right? And you have been moving yourself for a long time. So I think basically is what the here meant is like this.
Okay. So whatever moves itself in this definition is a soul, and this whatever moves itself is the self-mover.
But anyways, I just want to say this is notorious because this kind of stuff is really philosophical, and it's a thousands of problems behind it, and has been discussed since thousands of years, really, and in different cultures, different background, and different religions, and
Yeah, I was thinking when I read this passage, I was like, oh, how very Buddhist of him. Like there's some elements that definitely reminded me of his Buddhist teachings.
Okay. Any comments for this passage?
feel like I need to diagram it in order to understand it.
Okay.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna do it myself.
Just want to ask you the questions, and now can we say AI is self-moving?
Well, I actually don't believe in human is totally self-moving, in the sense that, you know, if there's the soul resides in the body, because I believe there's no afterlife. So when body, you know, dies, the soul goes away, which is not like a lasting. But the definition is not like what was that? Immortal.
Basically, I say the soul does not even exist. Like maybe so self-moving is just some bodily phenomenon. Maybe you mean like that?
That's my understanding of the soul. Like if we, I thought soul is like my existence.
So it's kind of like that's a lot. Of course, a lot of discussions behind that. So what is maybe you just saying the consciousness is just some maybe phenomena of your bodily existence, right? Because you're organic like this, and then it's very complicated. Yes, and then you have the so-called
yeah, and also I have both, and you know that.
Yeah. Okay. Basically, in fact, just you say you even question the dualism of body soul this distinction. Say one this, one soul, like atomic, and that's you cannot see it, but there's a soul, right? Which is like conducting yourself to do something else. And so there's a soul here, say here, and deciding your body to do something. I think you just saying like, oh, you don't buy this dualism, what Plato takes as granted.
Yeah, and this knowing the way he described this kind of immortal soul.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of materialist.
Yeah.
Or in terms of like the unity between body and soul, we also call it monism. So you're a monist.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think we can go further because those texts are so tense and you don't need to understand everything. Then that is enough about soul's immortality. Now here's what we must say about its structure. To describe what the soul actually is would require a very long account. Altogether, a task for a god in every way. But to say what it's like is humanly possible and takes less time. So let's do the second in our speech. Let us then liken the soul to the natural union of a team of wind horses and their charioteer. The gods have horses and charioteers that are themselves all good and come from good stock besides, while everyone else has a mixture. To begin with, our driver is in charge of a pair of horses. Second, one of the horses is beautiful and good and from stock of the same sort, while the other is the opposite and has the opposite sort of bloodline. This means that chariot driving, in our case, is inevitably a painfully difficult business. We can let it open maybe because we don't need to. But now it's just like this. Yeah. Sorry. We just discuss. I read this passage, the structure of the soul as a charioteer. Any comments? Any explanation?
I don't understand what this metaphor is supposed to do.
Okay. Yeah.
Like why do the horses have to be? Why do they have to be like from opposite directions?
Okay.
Like why do I need one good horse and one bad horse? Like this. Don't like it.
You don't like it or you don't understand it.
I don't understand it.
Okay. And any response to this? I think then I can begin a little bit. So this is a long history of the tripartite of a soul, of a mind, right? So reason, one will, like say, and the desire, right? Basically, I think that's what he meant here, but he used a picture, and the most famous one is Freud. Freud is three part of self: das Ich, über Ich und das Es. Yeah. So das Es is here the bad horse. The über Ich is the chariot or charioteer. Yeah, and the good horse is say Ich. So I think basically you can understand it like this.
Okay.
But Plato is use a picture, use a figure to illustrate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this paragraph alone, out of context, doesn't make so much sense, but if you read it further, then it does make it clarifies it a lot.
Any other further comments or questions? Yeah. So this will be very important for this book and for Plato in a whole. And that's also a difference between Socrates' second and the first speech. With first speech, we only find like desire and reason, right? Here we see this three parts, a little bit more complicated. Thinking aloud.
And now I should try to tell you why living things are said to include both mortal and immortal beings. All soul looks after all that lacks a soul, and patrols all of heaven, taking different shapes at different times. So long as its wings are in perfect condition, it flies high, and the entire universe is its dominion. But a soul that sheds its wings wanders until it lights on something solid, where it settles and takes on an earthly body, which then, owing to the power of this soul, seems to move itself. The whole combination of soul and body is called a living thing, or animal, and has the designation mortal as well. Such a combination cannot be immortal, not on any reasonable account. In fact, it is pure fiction, based neither on observation nor on adequate reasoning, that a god is an immortal living thing which has a body and a soul, and that these are bound together by nature for all of time. But of course we must let this be as may please the gods and speak accordingly.
Here, Hoquin does not answer your question and answer your doubt a little bit.
Still need to process.
Okay, take your time.
See, trying to define what is an animal and what is a god.
Basically, it's also the huge picture. Then what bothers Hoquin is like he sees our existence cannot be immortal, right? And I think Plato also thinks that way. Why? Because in our cases, the immortal soul came into the mortal body. So the combination of the two is called an animal. So it's immortal. We are immortal. I think Plato also thinks that.
Yeah, I think now I can answer your question. I think I still don't buy it because I think this has things to do with the afterlife, right?
Or before life and after
Yeah,
life,
before
life.
life, life. But I don't believe that.
So it's, yes, you don't believe that. That's a good word. So we like you, nobody can, well, at least up to now, prove that you are right or false, right?
That's also right.
That's your belief.
Yeah, that's also right.
Or Plato's belief. So like that.
I mean, I think this is kind of, one question that doesn't get fully examined is why does this phenomenon happen? Why does a body become quickened by a soul? Like, why does a soul leave heaven and come into the body of an animal?
He explained later.
Does he? Okay.
Yes, basically like, okay.
Yeah, I actually have posted a picture to show them, just the transition between, human and animal, or even God. No, God is always God. Yeah.
So can you explain now shortly why the soul then come to a body?
Why?
Yeah, so why the soul descends there?
Because it's too heavy. The wings it has is not like strong enough because the soul doesn't see enough of reality or real a beauty, so that their wings doesn't grow or like get weakened.
So the soul that inhabits a human body or an animal body is an imperfect or flawed soul.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Go on. That's mine, right?
Here we go.
Anybody wants to read it, or shall I go on? Okay. Let us turn to what causes the shading of the winds. What makes them fall away from a soul? It is something of this sort. By their nature, winds have the power to lift up heavy things and raise them aloft where the gods all dwell. And so, more than anything that pertains to the body, they are akin to the divine, which has beauty, wisdom, goodness, and everything of that sort. This nourishes the soul's wings, which grows best in their presence, but foulness and ugliness makes the wings shrink and disappear. And so, any comments? No. And here I want to basically say he uses beauty, wisdom, goodness, and everything of that form is Plato's forms. So he believes those stuff really exists, at least in this period of his career. So he thinks later he will explain like the beauty is just a pedestal, just something really like this table. They are existing on their own, just like, and then every other, like say a beautiful tree then partakes a little bit of the beauty and become a beautiful tree, but the beauty itself exists somewhere with gods, and we don't know exactly. So here's what it means with that. And this nourishes those winds. So that's exactly Fukun just said. So if the winds or the soul source a lot of this stuff, and the winds just like become very, very strong, or they become stronger, and if they are lacking this stuff, lacking the understanding of the beauty, of the justice, of the goodness, then so the wind just get weaker. So the soul is just like kind of like descending to the potatoes and to the aubergines. Just yeah. Okay. Any other comments? No.
There are also other spiritual traditions that echo this, like if you consume beauty, it will make you more beautiful. If you consume ugliness, it will make you uglier.
And now it's your turn, I think, right?
Now Zeus, the great commander in heaven, drives his winged chariot first in the procession, looking after everything and putting all things in order. Following him is an army of gods and spirits arranged in 11 sections. Hestia is the only one who remains at the home of the gods. All the rest of the 12 are lined up in formation, each god in command of the unit to which he is assigned. Inside heaven are many wonderful places from which to look, and many isles which the blessed gods take up and from which and back, each seeing to his own work, while anyone who is able and wishes to do so follows along, since jealousy has no place in the gods' chorus. While they go to feast at the banquet, they have a steep climb to the high tier at the rim of heaven. On this slope, the gods' chariots move easily, since they are balanced and well under control, but the other chariots barely make it. The heaviness of the bad horse drags its charioteer towards the earth and weighs him down as if he has failed to train it well, and this causes the most extreme toil and struggle that a soul will face. But when the souls we call immortals reach the top, they move outward and take their stand on the high ridge of heaven, where its circular motion carries them around as they stand while they gaze upon what is outside heaven.
Any questions? Concerns, I mean, your bodily reaction.
Dubious.
No, I mean, it's like he dwells further into mythology and tries to, how to say it in English, like to make the picture clearer. Like, that's all he does. And it's very congruent with like ancient mythology, so it's good in this sense.
I actually have a question. So, charioteer is kind of an image for the god, right? There's also for normal soul. Like a god. From what I understand, the god, they have this, horse and charioteer in the front and lead, or like swords follow the, follow gods.
Good question, right? If you just want to say, so where's the Zeus, right? If Zeus have two horses, right? So Zeus also seat part of the charioteer. He's not only part of the charioteer. He's driving, but then he also have two horses, and then these two horses and Zeus together form a good soul. So, so Zeus is a part of a soul.
Well, one thing that I find really interesting is that he said there's no place for jealousy in the gods' chorus, but the Greek myths talk all the time about how jealous the gods are constantly. They're constantly coming down. They're like, oh, Arachne's better at weaving than me, so I'm gonna kill her. Or, Zeus lusted after that human woman, and now I'm jealous. Like, they're imbued with all of these human virtues or human faults and vices in their own mythos. But this image goes completely contradictory to that. And so doesn't Zeus have his own two horses, a good horse and a bad horse? And his bad horse is doing the driving a lot of the time.
I think you are right, and I think the first is according to the mythology, Zeus bad horse is really
really like buff bad horse.
But I think that's exactly Plato criticizing in his books, like in the Republic. He just say, how could that be God? So Hesiod and Homer, this guy must be like must be driven away from our city because it's telling lies. So he thinks this part of the mythology are not true.
Okay.
So Plato basically thinks. So he does not follow every aspect of like their religion, kind of like. So, but it's good picture. I think you're totally right. If we could follow really Hesiod and Homer, and then unbelievable.
But here, the soul, the normal souls, they don't have a horse, right? Do they?
I think that's a good question. Also, my questions like that. So, in fact, the souls is one and also composite. So the one soul has three parts. Not only the reason part is the soul, but the whole as a whole, like charioteer and two horses.
You mean each soul, they have their horse?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I understood.
And so that's my question, where's Zeus? So Zeus is part of the soul, or Zeus is the soul. So.
Zeus is his own tripartite, so.
Any other comments, or shall we go further? Do you have any comments, Ross?
No, not yet.
Anybody want to take read?
Maybe a quick comment.
Okay.
I think it makes sense that why Yana want to draw the picture yourself, because I get mistaken by the AI that all the soul they walk, they just follow the force from the gods.
Okay.
Yeah, I just checked the text. Yes, they do. By definition, they have their horse and yeah.
I think from Plato's kind of view, these are parts of the soul, not so not the soul over two horses, but
the team of the horse plus this driver.
Yes, driver. Yes. So I will read it. It's long because it's so challenging for me.
No, you could just read it to the end of the page, and then I can take it from there.
The place beyond heaven, none of our earthly poets have ever sung or ever will sing its praises enough. Still, this is the way it is. Risky as it may be, you say, I must attempt to speak the truth, especially since the truth is my subject. What is in this place is without color and without shape and without solidity. A being that really is what it is, the subject of all true knowledge, visible only to intelligence, the soul's steerman. So you can say the soul's steerman. Now a God's mind is nourished by intelligence and pure knowledge, as is the mind of any soul that is concerned to take in what is appropriate to it. And so it is delighted at last to be seeing what is real and watching what is true. Feeding on all this and feeling wonderful until the secular motion brings it around to where it started. On the way around, it has a view of justice as it is. It has a view of self-control. It has a view of knowledge, not the knowledge that is close to change, that is becomes different as it knows the different things which we consider real down here. No, it is the knowledge of what really is what it is. And when the soul has seen all the things that are as they are and feasted on them, it sinks back inside heaven and goes home. On its arrival, the charioteer stables their horses by the manager, throw in ambrosia, and give them nectar to drink besides. So here, I think very important, because it's firstly about ontology. So maybe for Hokun it's a little bit different, and also for Yana. So ontology is about the stuff which there is, or what exists, and also about epistemology. So epistemology is what we can know, or what is knowledge. So basically, Plato fusion these two together here, say in the realm of the form or in the heavenly place he is describing. So the truth or the forms are there, like the saints, like the justice, the knowledge, the beauty, and this stuff is really there, and that is really exist. That's the first and ontological perspective of this passage, and the second epistemological. So when the soul goes there, and the soul can look at them and can get feasted by them, so we can know them, which is epistemological. So we can know them by what they are, say. So
understand their true nature.
yes, or you can put it that way too. So it's very just like two very important area, at least for philosophers. It's ontology and epistemology here. And I give this short introduction, and then I assume there are plenty of questions for this passage or comments to the charger. Sorry.
Doesn't this also have to do with Plato's theory of forms?
Yeah. Sure, the theory of forms itself is for Plato's answer to this to ontology and epistemology is the theory of form. You can say like this, maybe we can put it that way. That's a long question. So how are you still processing this passage?
Yeah.
What about this sentence? Risky as it may be, I must attempt to speak the truth, especially since the truth is my subject. Seems important. It seems like kind of a model.
So basically, Plato generally, or Socrates' attitude is he does not know, so but he will try, and he will seek it, like this attitude. I think the second is it's also very, very interesting. Like generally, Plato thinks what he's writing is a likely account. So he never says, "Okay, I already said the truth," but he says, "Okay, that's what I can. I will try," and then it's possible. It's a possible answer to that, but still, I'm looking after the truth, say, or looking for the truth. Basically, that's that. Maybe, but I always don't know whether my comments answer your question.
Is this the area well described by Socrates that where the beyond heaven there's area, there's space where there's only pure knowledge, pure beauty?
Yeah, here, just here, exactly.
Yeah.
No, he just kind of say he says this virtues as true existence, like his then he I think self-control usually also translated into moderation, and the view of knowledge, right? It's capitalized, so or the truth or the knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, I think the capitalization is meant to emphasize their existence as independent entities.
Yes, exactly. It's a good way to put it. Actually, for Plato, they are they exist and they are like an entity. And visible only to intelligence. So it can be known, but not by like perception, but by intelligence, you know.
And it's automatic for the gods, but
yeah,
laborious for us.
Yes, yes. And in fact, it's so rare that maybe thousands of years we will have one person who can go there, kind of like this stuff. And so it's to get rather full image of it would be very rare. Shall we go on? If this,
Yeah.
Now that is the life of the gods. As for the other souls, one that follows a god most closely, making itself most like that god, raises the head of its charioteer up to the place outside and is carried around in the circular motion with the others. Although distracted by the horses, this soul does have a view of reality, just barely. Another soul rises at one time and falls at another, and because its horses pull it violently in different directions, it sees some real things and misses others. The remaining souls are all eagerly straining to keep up, but are unable to rise. They are carried around below the surface, trampling and striking one another as each tries to get ahead of the others. The result is terribly noisy, very sweaty, and disorderly. Many souls are crippled by the incompetence of the drivers, and many wings break much of their plumage. After so much trouble, they all leave without having seen reality, uninitiated, and when they have gone, they will depend on what they think is nourishment, their own opinions.
so now to the kind of human soul.
Mm-hmm. It's not just that the soul is in three parts, it's also that humanity is in three parts. There are three types of people.
What did it mean?
There's a type of person who most closely follows the god. There's a type of person who's pulled in two directions, and then there's the type of person who clambers around in the crowd at the bottom and breaks their wings.
And here I want to, any comments first? Any questions? So how can we understand the unit of the soul, say?
Unit or what?
Of the soul. Why we don't call it three souls, but one soul?
You mean the
Three part of
three
the soul.
components?
Yeah.
I feel it's like two type of horse, which is the reasoning and madness, or like emotional, and the stillness who controls the balance.
I think here what strikes me is like this line. I think where's okay, because the horse pull it violently in different directions. It seems to me like a good souls, then they are just like a good team, right? It's not because they are one, but really one, but they have their own the one direction.
They work well together well.
Yes, so that's a good soul, in fact, towards one direction, especially a good direction. So maybe a team works very well, but their goal is to rob a bank, say. In that case, also maybe not so good, but maybe if the team is aligned and also just want to say the forms, say, just to view the forms, to look at the beauty, the justice, or something like that. So then it's a good soul, it's aligned, and also to a good purpose, right?
How do you interpret this as steerman?
I think that the traditional is the reason. So the steerman.
What is a good horse then? As a good horse is reasoning.
So later he was saying, so those two horses has their own usage. Like the first is the part of the spirit. So you know, some people like sometimes we can imagine, say, a donkey, right? He's a very reasonable. So then he just saw like some grass in front of him, and he's calculating, oh, how good this grass is, and how beautiful that is, how delicious that could be. But he never like have the courage, or have the never really step forward and bite on it, right? So in that case, it's also not a good donkey, say, or a good soul. So the soul, you can say, courage is really important, or spiritualness. So sometimes you need this wideness, the core of the wide, right? Just like you need to jump. You need to, and at the same time, this courage is important, and at the second time, I think the appetite was important. Maybe here it's two stuff. I mixed that up a little bit. So take the first step is important, and why? Because you have the appetite, right? Because the donkey is hungry. He just wants to eat. As simple as that. So you know, then they are both useful. But the problem is, most of the donkeys just, they have kind of see a lot of grass there, and they just eat too much and get too fat and get slaughtered. So you must kind of like, you cannot like let your appetite dominate the whole donkey. Kind of like this maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So I begin with the courage, because like I think for Chinese culture, especially sometimes the spiritual part are ignored, kind of like, right? And sometimes so we have the feeling it's not rough enough or not strong enough. Sometimes you have the like that. So I begin with that part, yeah. But basically, you can see all of them are essential to a good soul.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, it's not like only a charioteer, then he need to work, right? He cannot really. He don't have this urban or the car anymore. He needs to
Vehicle.
Work. Yeah, vehicle. So he needs to work himself. That's also. And how even that I think the reason seems to be just sit somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the basic understanding of the three party. Any comments? Questions? So we should go further a little bit. That's a long passage.
It's all yours.
You don't mind?
But do you want me to read half of it?
Ross, are you going to take it over?
I guess I can, but
Yes, Ross.
it starts with the reason?
Yes.
Okay, the reason there is so much eagerness to see the plain where truth stands is that this pasture has the grass that is the right food for the best part of the soul, and it is the nature of the wings that lift up the soul to be nourished by it. Besides, the law of destiny is this: if any soul becomes a companion to a god and catches sight of any true thing, it will be unharmed until the next circuit, and if it is able to do this every time, it will always be safe. If, on the other hand, it does not see anything true because it cannot keep up, and by some accident takes on a burden of forgetfulness and wrongdoing, then it is weighed down, sheds its wings, and falls to earth. At that point, according to the law, the soul is not born into a wild animal in its first incarnation, but a soul that has seen the most will be planted in the seed of a man who will become a lover of wisdom or of beauty, or who will be cultivated in the arts and prone to erotic love. The second sort of soul will be put into someone who will be a lawful king or warlike commander. The third, a statesman, a manager of a household, or a financier. The fourth will be a trainer who loves exercise, a doctor who cures the body. The fifth will lead the life of a prophet or priest of the mysteries. To the sixth, the life of a poet or some other representational artist is properly assigned. To the seventh, the life of a manual laborer or farmer. To the eighth, the career of a sophist or a demagogue. And to the ninth, a tyrant.
Sorry, I just forgot to emphasize something. Like the last passage is the last one. The last opinion is really important. So basically, Plato have this dichotomies. So one's the knowledge and one's opinion. So say if you are really kind of like you live in Germany, say, and you also care about, or you does not care about the politics that much, but a little bit, and then you will get some opinion about politics, right? You will have, like, you will look at, say, TikTok videos, and then decide which party you choose, and then you get nourished by the opinion that what Plato basically means. So in any case, then your judgment will be limited, and you will choose something maybe not the best, unless it's by chance. But if you kind of really responsible for yourself, you just read some like different stance about the affairs now in Deutschland, in Germany, and then most of them are written by famous, say, political scientists. And then you are more close to the knowledge side. And then if you vote, and then you will be like made more deliberated and responsible decisions, say. I think here he just means that, so in his case, then if you look at the forms, right, and then do your decision, and then that would be better. But if you look at other stuff, just kind of random, something you like, or it's very short, it's uncompleted, or something like that, and then you form you nourish yourself, your soul on these opinions, and then that's just devastating. That's catastrophic, according to Plato, basically like this. And so, but anyway, now we come back to the real passage, because I just forgot that one. It's an important one. I want to say something.
When I was reading this passage, this paragraph, I was kind of surprised by the last part regarding his hierarchy on different profession, and especially this philosopher as the first. And I then checked why. ChatGPT told me because he wants to, or Plato wants to argue in a way so that philosophy has a good position in the society to, I don't know, better contribute to politics, for example.
But all of these incarnations are linked to the idea of a soul that could not keep up and takes on a burden of forgetfulness and wrongdoing, right? The weighted down soul. So all of these incarnations are example of an imperfect soul, even the philosopher.
Yes. And basically this hierarchy is dependent on the distance to the forms, right? So to the truth, to the righteousness, to the beauty, to the justice, and or to the gods, maybe shortly, or to the dominion of gods. Say, if the soul has saw those stuff and nourished by them, then you will run higher in the hierarchy, say, a little bit, basically. So philosophers, just those people who love the forms, they love the Sophia, love the wisdom, right? So they kind of happen to align with the most important parameter, or the only parameter in this hierarchy. So then the chance of them to get highest because of this, I think.
And are they ordered by their proximity to the truth?
Yeah, I think that's what it means. The fourth will be. The philosopher is the fourth? No, right?
It's the first.
Yes, the first, right?
I'm surprised that the poet and artist was number 6. I thought it would be higher.
Plato.
There's also doctor in the fourth.
That's good.
That's good. But I mean, at first instinct, I think doctor is not like, goes into the truth or whatever, but they are killing bodies.
I know what you mean. So they are according to us, the doctors may be firstly close to the truth because they knew a lot of natural sciences, right? Our human body, maybe. And the second, they are closer to the goodness, right?
Yeah.
Because if someone helps the other to get healthy, he's good. So that's our understanding, right? But so Plato is not so such direct understanding, but the standards, the forms, right? The forms. So maybe they are different as what we perceive, or we as conventional wisdom thinks good. Maybe that's what Plato thinks. So after examination and reflection, if that's still the truth and still the good, no problem, then the doctor will rank higher. But for him, it's just like this, and in a likely account, right? He does not say this stuff are just like dong, something fixed, but he's just kind of give a likely account in his opinion, who are more close to the forms of approximate, yeah, to the forms, and who are present. And about the poets, he has in the Republic, he has a famous Republic book 9. He talked about this subject, why they are ranking low. Basically, they are also, Armin also mentioned, so for Plato, they are imitators. And then because they are imitators, so they are by definition away from the truth and the forms. That's why they are done.
Can you elaborate on imitating what?
There's a famous text from Plato about like how he compares art to one who rides a horse and one who makes the saddle, and the one who makes the leather. Each one has a very distinct knowledge about how to make their product.
Okay.
But just because you make the leather doesn't mean you know how to ride a horse, something like that. So it goes like each of them has a different or better perception of what they are dealing with, right? So like art is supposed to like imitate the beauty, like the divine beauty, the beauty, right? So like Kai said, there is no such a thing as like the cup, because the cup in its original form only exists in the sphere of ideas, and a good artist can imitate it and put it into a form which comes the closest to the idea of a cup. So that's why it's imitating.
Yeah. Well, I can put it go further a little bit. You can imagine.
I think I can get some point. So this is kind of like from 1 to 10 to 100. Maybe if you give me some example, I'm from 0 to 1. That is kind of a creative, not imitate. In what was the word again?
Imitating.
Imitating.
The imitation. Yeah. You mean if. But anyway, I first go to the picture. So the forms here, right? The form, say, are the form of a table, and then say, like a table maker, carpenter, right?
Yes.
Made this table, right? So he looks to the form of the table in the heavens, say, and makes this table. So he imitates, according to Plato, the form table, the table. And now, like say, Da Vinci comes and he draws this table. So he imitates in the canvas this table, right? So Da Vinci is the imitator of the imitator. So like Plato himself is just looking on these forms of table, right? So he's a philosopher, and this the craftsman here is just imitates the heavenly form or the form, and Da Vinci is just an imitator of imitators.
But Da Vinci is still higher in the hierarchy than the carpenter because the life of a manual laborer is number 7.
That's a good point. I think that's pretty incoherent. Yeah, you got him.
And the doctor, maybe I can elaborate on, because if the body is just a container for the soul, maybe its care is not so important as the cultivation of the soul itself.
So I think Plato will have some difficulties to argue with you. Any comments for this passage? And the Soviets and the demagogue, he hates them.
Yeah,
So
with
much.
Rasimakos. Number 8.
Yeah. So I think most of the politicians nowadays or lawyers belongs to this track. And if no questions, I think that's pretty much for today. And the next week there will be no session because I will have an interview with Chao Ting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like which topic are you gonna have?
We will talk about that. So Ross, that's for today, and then as I said, next week there will be no session, and the week after, I'm still thinking because once I will said on the second we will have the we'll have the birthday, right? But on that day I have a rehearsal in the choir, so I can't make it. So I think I will do it on the 4th.
Okay.
And so on the 4th, the library is closed. So I need to figure out where we can do that. I think at my place, and then I just at my place I don't have Wi-Fi, so then I will use I will use my handy maybe this is to do it. So in 2 weeks we will have the next session following.
Okay, I think I leave on the 4th. I leave on the 3rd for a little bit, but so I won't be able to make that. But maybe, yeah.
Okay, so you won't make it on 4th, right?
Yeah, I'll be gone for like a
Okay,
week, but
okay.
I should be able to make it like, yeah. Anyway.
That's unfortunately.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Oh, so that's basically we can still talk about it. It's not 100% fixed. Okay.
Yeah, we can talk. Yeah, just let me know. Yeah, okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks and have a nice day.
Hey, bye.
Bye.
Right.